Hello and welcome to Movie Shorts. I'm Andy Mack and this is episode 1. So thank you so much for downloading this podcast and for listening. This podcast is designed to review films in under 10 minutes without giving too much away. In today's episode, I will be reviewing Mickey 17. So let's get straight to it. Mickey 17 is written, produced and directed by Bong Joon Ho, based on the story Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton, and is a dark comedy / science fiction film set in the year 2054. And the story follows Mickey Barnes, played by Robert Pattinson, who, because he's facing financial peril due to his failed macaroon business, yes, you heard me say that right, he decides to join a mission to colonize an ice planet called Niflheim, and he really doesn't understand what he's getting himself into. He just needs to get out of the world, basically, and he enrolls himself as an expendable. And an expendable is a person that undertakes tasks, dies, and is regenerated using cloning technology that preserves his memories. It all sounds very complicated, but believe me, it's not. So by the time Mickey's arrived, along with thousands of others, along for the ride on a giant spacecraft, Mickey has died quite a few times in quite ludicrous ways, which makes you laugh in one sense, but also makes you feel very, very sorry for Mickey. So eventually, we land at Niflheim, and it's a derelict, barren-looking, ice-cold planet, and it's a pretty pathetic planet, to be honest. Of course, Mickey is the first person that sets foot on this new planet. He takes a nice deep breath in and then ends up back on the ship, puking his guts out, and ends up dying of a terrible virus. But don't worry, he's an expendable, so they just regenerate the next day. Eventually, they find a cure thanks to Mickey, and that means we can now explore this planet, this terrible looking, freezing cold planet. Mickey is one of those people who is tasked to explore the planet, and he comes across something called creepers, not from Minecraft. And when attempting to study the creepers, Mickey falls to his death, or so the rest of his crew believe. So they make a new Mickey, of course, Mickey 18, and that's when the real fun begins, as this Mickey is very different in terms of personality to Mickey 17. Mickey 17 eventually wakes up and then ends up back at base camp, and he comes across his identical copy, Mickey 18. However, multiple clones are prohibited. His girlfriend, played by Naomi Ace, who I remembered from Rise of Skywalker, now has to deal with 2 Mickeys. Now, I said this podcast vows to not give away too much, and I'm going to leave the plot right there. But I am going to say that the wonderful Mark Ruffalo actually steals the show in this film. He's absolutely fantastic. He is so funny throughout. He plays a character called Kenneth Marshall, who is the leader of this colony. He's a failed politician, charlatan, and cult leader. His facial expressions, his pauses steal the show for me, and he's wonderfully backed up by Toni Collette. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was completely bonkers. And even though it's set in the year 2054, which is only 29 years away, guys, and follows a ship on the other side of the universe, it hits home how much people are swept away with dodgy charlatans who believe in their own hype. And the people working with them are too afraid to tell them how ridiculous they actually are. It's classed as a dark comedy, but at times it completely skews away from that genre. I laughed out loud a few times, especially when Mark Ruffalo appeared. And on other occasions, I felt real empathy for the young people millions of miles away from home, starting a new life because they believed the ridiculousness of a nutjob leader. One particular scene I enjoyed was when Mickey 17 wins a fancy dinner, as currently the crew are basically eating rationed gruel, and Pattinson, Collette and Ruffalo share the screen in a hilarious manner. Robert Pattinson was great in this film. Mickey is a character that feels sorry for himself and actually believes that he deserves to die over and over again until Mickey 18 comes along. And that's when you see a real contrast in the way that Pattinson portrays both Mickeys. To be honest, the supporting crew do an excellent job in this film, and I really enjoyed the movie. The end climax I thought was about 10 minutes too long, but overall I really enjoyed this film and I could watch it again. I've been quite surprised then by some of the negative reviews around the film, especially around the cheesiness of Ruffalo and Collette. But that's the point. In all that ridiculous cheese, there is a man who basically is a capitalist, a tyrant, someone who's willing to kill to satisfy his own ridiculous beliefs. Sometimes the ludicrous is right under our noses and we just can't see it. I suspect that this film will be quite popular when it's available to download and watch. Mickey 17. Funny, dark, ludicrous, but strangely modern. Thank you for listening to Movie Shorts, and I'll be reviewing some more films very soon. Bye bye.